Hi, welcome to Inner Health's today's Metaphysics Hour. I'm your host, Rory Colgan. Today we're going to be talking about something that most people find to be the bane of their existence. And that is, what do you do when you're in a relationship and your loved one has a misconception about what it is that you actually said or did? How do you defend yourself when you know that the truth is only going to irritate and actually make it even more challenging to reciprocate and to move forward? So we're going to focus on 3 simple skills that you can use throughout your relationship, especially when the relationship hits one of those fights or those moments where there's a disagreement or a misunderstanding between the different parties. So the first thing that you need to do is relax. You need to breathe. You need to just let the experience happen, because if you don't let that experience happen, what you're going to end up experiencing is that you will be out of control. You'll say something that you didn't necessarily intend to say. You might have been thinking it, but you weren't intending to say that thing. That thing that is said cannot be retracted, and it then affects your partner. It affects them in such a way that they then have a different experience of you. They look at you in a slightly different way. And depending upon the severity of that unintentional comment that happened because you're emotionally reacting, it can either spell a link in the chain that starts to break down, which ultimately would hurt the relationship, if not end the relationship, or that thing that you say can then help the individual reflect into their own life and say, is that true? So it can actually help a person to reflect upon what is being said. So you first need to relax. Once you can relax, you can look at what is being stated. And then you can come to some pretty good ideas as to what the conversation needs to be about, if anything. So I'll give you a simple example. One of the students that I know, he and his girlfriend got into an argument, and God forbid it happened on a text message. How does that come across well in our world? It doesn't, because there's so many assumptions or implied meanings and body language indicators that we can't pick up. So we're not really quite certain of how to deal with it. So what did this student do? Student requested that his girlfriend call him. And she responded with a text message saying, I'm not going to talk to you because I'm liable to say something that is too harsh. In other words, she had a sense that she needed to relax before she could actually get into the conversation. So both him and her focused on that. They utilized that opportunity and they relaxed. A few days later, they were able to understand the situation, and they were able to prevent that type of thing from happening again. And that started with relaxation, but it didn't end there, because just relaxation would not help a person come to an understanding. It just keeps the mind clean. So what was necessary next was the communication. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because both parties think that they're right. And when you think that you're right, you tend to stand by what you say. You tend not to listen as effectively to what the other person has to say and their perspective. And this can get, again, kind of convoluted, kind of dirty, as it were, or it can be very illuminating. But the necessary step for everybody is that they need to have the experience where the truth becomes more important than being right. Now, there's a lot of different meanings of truth. There's personal truth, there's universal truth, there's the truth that you think of when you think of a holy scripture. There's the truth that you think of when you think of a scientific principle. There's those types of truths, and then there's the truth of me living my life and saying, this is the way I want to live, this is the way I want to dress, this is the way that I want to interact, this is the career I want. Now, all of those are different variations of the truth, but most importantly, what it actually is your concept of the truth. The truth is so pervasive and so whole that a person could speak for 20 minutes trying to describe truth and still not explain it effectively enough for somebody else to grasp. In other words, the concept of truth is almost intranslatable. Yes, you can say words. Those words will lead to the truth, but the truth has to be experienced. So, in your interactions with your loved one, you have to want the truth. And the truth needs to reign supreme as the goal. Now, the third thing that's really important in these arguments or in these difficult times in a relationship is that you need to have love. If you have love and truth, you'll be able to actually do something with the conversation. Otherwise, you're going to get vindictive. Otherwise, you're going to get victimized. One of the two extremes is going to happen without love. Now, if you have love, you are able to actually receive something that's uncomfortable because it's illuminating something within yourself that you're not necessarily pleased about, and not go berserk, not lose it, not lash out in anger. Why? Because you're connected to love. So love can be kind of lofty and hard to understand, especially when we're really emotional and we feel attacked or we feel vulnerable, we feel scared, we feel frightened, we feel angry. So what do you do? One of the best things that a person can do is focus on that relaxation. Then after you get a little bit of that relaxation, you should start feeling a little bit of calmness. And then you have to affirm to yourself, it's okay. It's okay. No matter how this turns out, it's okay. So what is that? That's security. You need to have security before you can really tap into love, because love is so secure. You don't even think about security. You don't even have that awareness. It's so warm and wonderful and pleasant and so powerful that security is natural. The last little helper that I practice when I'm in a difficult situation and I need to be loving is that I practice seeing it from their perspective and being kind to them. In other words, trying to treat them as I would want to be treated. Now again, that can be hard, especially if they're saying something that's inaccurate, but they're saying it with a lot of emotion, and maybe they're saying something that actually has some truth to it, mixed in with their reaction and what they're saying that is not true. So it can be very tough to receive the truth of that moment simply because you're not really happy about the package that it was delivered in. So again, what do you do? In all difficult relationships or difficult moments within a relationship, you have to relax. You have to go for the truth, not being right, and you have to find love. And that, my friends, is how we heal our relationships.